Welcome to the Madison Shooting Academy podcast. If you're a clay target shooter, then we have what you're looking for. Speaking with some of the best in the industry about the game you're passionate about. Subscribe to the Clay Lab on YouTube and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast platform. The Madison Shooting Academy podcast is brought to you by Castellani USA, Greenwood Custom Stocks, and Ranger Eyewear. Here's your host, Cody Matson of Madison Shooting Academy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Madison Shooting Academy podcast. You got Cody Matson here. I got a special guest on the podcast this evening, one of my longtime friends and sponsor of the show. We've got Dan Creekmur with Castellani USA and Ultimate Shooting Accessories as a guest tonight. So, Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited that we can connect. You are one of the busiest guys I know. And you always are on the go and all over the country. And so how's things going for you?
Great. Yeah, actually, to speak on that, this year was quite a great experience because we basically been going nonstop since really March. The season really kicked off for me for ACI Nationals. And then ever since then, I've been basically traveling in hotels. And so I've definitely told a couple people this, but I'm at just hitting 80 days now in hotels. That's how much I've been traveling.
Wow.
On top of
I don't know if that's something to brag on, man.
No, it's not. It's not. The only thing is when I noticed, I'm like, oh, I started getting some different rewards. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've actually been in hotels this long. This is way too much.
Well, that is way too much time in a hotel. Well, it looks like I caught you at home, so hopefully you're enjoying that. But Dan, you and I go way back. I remember meeting you back when I was in McGraw's in the Illinois days. Tell me that first time we met. I was working on your gun, or you're with Tom?
So yeah, I was with Tom. We were at a charity shoot, and I think that was going on at that event, and I was assisting and helping out Tom and kind of having some fun there, and then we came across where I basically purchased a Briley component that I needed done on my A400, and I was talking to you and ended up you did the gunsmithing on my gun for me. So
that was a long time ago. And then Tom we're talking about is Tom Lotus. Tom started Ultimate Shooting Accessories. Is that correct? Okay. And then now your role, so you were working for Tom when we first met, but now you've assumed a new role with the company. Tell me what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so it was about a little over 2 years ago. I've at the point, Tom basically got up in retirement age and needed to pass the torch. So it is kind of coming my way. It was a good transition because I was always working in the background, understanding a lot of aspects of the business. But Tom was forward facing, and that's where now I've taken on that that duty as well. So that's where, of course, it's been, like you said, very busy because now it's where we used to have 2 employees working on it full time. It lost 50% of capacity.
Yeah.
Overnight, 50% gone, and then had to fill those gaps and just kind of keep things running. So definitely been busy, but have made lots of different changes and improvements on my side to continually streamline operations. So over the past couple of years, which has been great.
That's fantastic. And all the shoots that I go to, I mean, see so many Castellani vests. I've wore them for years. I think, the best product going, that's our uniform. And we take pride in that. And you've helped me custom design. I mean, I can't even tell you how many vests. And so what is your role with that in the vests? Are you designing these vests? What's your role with the company? I want to kind of bring you into all this.
Yeah. So regarding the custom designs, that is all me. I've been doing that since day one, even with Tom in the background. Work with Tom as far as, he would have some concepts, but as far as doing the actual work, that was always me putting those mock-ups together. And, the process basically is we have a core set of fabrics, colors, trim, piping, etc. And what I do is I typically, if I'm working with an individual or a team or a club, I'm gathering information from them and designing the mock-up. So for example, like if we take a team or a club, typically what I'll do is as soon as they reach out to me, I will start to kind of do a little discovery, maybe go to their Facebook page or Instagram or websites, and I start to gather what are their colors, where are their logos, and sometimes I'll just start to pull that information down and prepare a base mock-up for them before they really even ask for it, just to
Wow, that's cool.
set the stage and have something, because again, it's one thing to communicate verbally or through email, but when you actually put something in front of somebody, it's just the conversation, I feel, becomes a lot easier to go through, because you're putting together something that's probably pretty close to what they're looking to do. And then at that point, it really just becomes modifying a little bit. And, we'll get some, better logo files typically. And, I've gone to the extent sometimes where people don't have a good high-end logo file. I sometimes will recreate the file, just as courtesy. It just depends on, the information I'm getting from them. So that's how I kind of start off the club and I'll say team vests. And then, you've seen as far as when I'm working with an individual, it's the same thing. It's kind of trying to put together, what are you looking for?
Yeah, we had a brainstorming session, what's your colors, what do you like, and you took so much time with me back and forth and sent me the mock-ups and everything on that. And I mean, it was a really cool process, and I got a one of a kind custom vest, and I don't see a lot of duplicate vests out there. I mean, it seems like once you do that custom design, that's kind of not something you replicate. Is that true?
Yeah. So again, it's kind of a funny topic, right? Because when you really think about it, it's like how many designs can you really do based upon a certain set of colors? But the funny part is, you really can create a lot of different subtle differences between the vests. You really can, whether it's between embroidery thread to printing to trim work on the vest to the materials, like you're using leather, other people may use Alcantara. There's different options that I can do there for the recoil pad. So you really end up, I try to really produce kind of one-offs when I'm working on customs and keep them unique to that individual. There's only so many colors that you can end up kind of doing. So you may have some similarities here and there that you may see, but typically, again, like a vest that you have with your logos on it, you're never going to see another like that out there.
Yeah.
So
that's super cool. In Jeremy Taman's vest, that all black one, I told him it looks like a stealth cop car. Where he's got the mesh and the patches on the back of it. It's really subtle, but it's super cool. I've never seen anything else like that.
Yeah, this is actually a really cool, not a lot of people do this. So one of the first individuals that I worked with was Danya Vizzi, so an Olympic shooter. And she has a vest along with actually a few other members as well. And they did on the mesh, we did patches. So we created patches of the embroidery, and then we put them, directly to the mesh itself. So gives it a very cool design. And then his is completely, blacked out, and we kind of use this glossy black, thread. So this way, when it hits the light in a certain way, it pops. Otherwise, it just looks jet black. And then again, if the light hits just right, you get to see everything, which is really cool. And then we're building another one actually for him right now, which
that's super cool.
A Navy version that's going to be coming out. So
that's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. So you must really enjoy that custom design. I mean, you seem like a creative guy. I mean, do you have a background in design like that, or that's just something you've learned over the years?
Yeah. So no professional background in design. However, I come from an art background. I've always enjoyed doing art. I would paint. I did have a little bit of school that I took as far as for painting, but again, I wouldn't say it was like I didn't go to college for art, or anything like that. But I've been painting, since I was a kid, and that also works as well into graphic design. So I've done a lot of that. Everything that basically I put together, including the website graphically, if their photos are not taken for me, but any of those artistic kind of elements, that's all me. I'm working on that.
That's incredible.
I don't subcontract out any of that work. At some point I may have to, just because of time per se.
That's right.
But no, and actually for me, it is very fun, right? One of the aspects to it is the difference is that every different vest that you work on, especially with somebody, it does kind of become, a piece of art for that team or for that club. And so I do really enjoy doing it. And the other part to it is I always tell everybody, if you're not happy, we're going to keep doing this until you get what you want, because the worst thing to do in design that I've always felt is you kind of put something together and then just ride with it. A lot of times what I like to do is I'll design something and then you test it by creating other versions of it. And typically what I always find is that the one that I know, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the one. But we'll go through this exercise sometimes of creating other ones on top of it. And then you go back to the one. But that's a way to prove that what you did in the beginning was the correct one to do.
Yeah.
So for me, I really do enjoy that. Yeah.
That's great. So you find often that even though you're doing different mock-ups, usually the first one's the one that you nailed.
Yeah, pretty close. Sometimes as I'm doing it may evolve a little bit. So this does happen as well. So I've had a couple where I'll add some elements to it and then I see something in it that I really like. And then I kind of push it a little bit more and more. And then next thing you know, I'm like, okay, this is the one. So, but usually when I see that, I know, and I typically, for the most part, when I'm sending them to the, I have a feeling which one they're going to pick. And for the most part, it's pretty accurate. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I know when you've designed vests for me in the past, you've been really patient and, getting the colors right and everything on it and the logo files. And there's so much that goes into it. I think people don't realize, how time consuming that is. And, it's a lot to do that, but all the different variations on the vests, some are 2-pocket, some are 4-pocket, all mesh back. You put the TK material in the back of the vest. Get into a little bit of that. Like, what are some of the other, besides the design, what can folks choose on those vests?
Yeah. So, you're completely right. So if you just usually I start again with a base, mock-up, which maybe we'll start at like a 2-pocket vest. But as we're going through these options, it really becomes, okay, do you want 2 pockets? Do you want 4 pockets in the front? Do you want a whole pocket in the back? What type of material are you looking for? So not only colors, but like also for the recoil pad. Some people want to shoot in fabric for the recoil pad, which typically you see a lot of international skeet shooters will be shooting in fabric. And sometime in FITASC as well, you'll get a couple in FITASC, and otherwise Alcantara is very popular. And
that's that suede-like material, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Very durable. It's what they put in high-end, like automotive car seats and steering wheels. It's branded called Alcantara. So this is officially Alcantara from Italy.
Okay.
And, but yeah, very, very good material. And then you have, of course, leather that we could do as well. So we have some different options there just from a material standpoint. And then when we just look at that component, all the different, color options you could do, and then different models.
Some of the older vests that I had, I remember the material like kind of fading in the sunlight and stuff, but you said that TK material is now like a color fast material.
Yeah. So right, with all traditional cottons, all cottons are dyed. So typically what you would see with high intense sun exposure is you would get fading with your navies and blacks specifically. That is no longer an issue with our vest because we've made the transition to our TK Pro fabric, which is a color fast material. So, which is great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can attest to that. I've got 2 Georgia Summers on that vest, and it looks as good as the day I got it. It might not smell as good as the day I got it, but it's holding up well.
Yeah. So this is a great, we did this for the Tokyo Olympics is when that TK Pro vest came out, which was the 1-sleeve vest. That's when that fabric was actually released. Was for the Tokyo Olympics. And that's where eventually then it evolved and we put it into our Rio line, which is kind of the standard vest that we produce today. And again, kind of going back to all the different options that we do on the vest, right? So the fabric is one big change that we made. We've also changed out all of our zippers to be a high-end YKK zipper that's a double zipper. So, and it's actually great having the double zipper. And one of the reasons why is when you're going in and out of like a Polaris or a golf cart, you can open that up. Because most people, as you're wearing a vest going to competitions, you're getting in and out of the golf carts, or your Polaris frequently. And so it's just gives you the ability to open up the vest if you want from the bottom. But then also we have an inside pocket there that a lot of people weren't using, mainly because you'd have to unzip the vest from the top in order to access it. This again just gives a very quick way to get to that inside pocket.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't even know it was there. So again, grab your vest and take a look and you'll see it inside pocket there.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you told me they were going to put in a double zipper in there, I was a little apprehensive because, you know, in the past I've always fought double zippers and everything. I'll tell you what, that zipper is top quality and it goes up and down really easy. And I find myself unzipping that vest from the bottom frequently, especially if it's hot out or something. I zip it all the way up, and
Yep.
man, I really enjoy that. I think that's a great new feature.
Yep. Yeah. Again, it's all these subtle little things that we keep enhancing and adjusting in the vest. But I look at it now where everything is at. I think the vest is in a great position. We're going to have this model now for some time. We'll eventually transition to another model for the Olympics that'll take place in LA, which, probably talk about that a little bit. But to kind of talk finally about the rest of the materials on the vest, the other option that we do is we have our jersey panels that we also put on the back of a vest when we're talking about customs, right? So this is where
Yeah.
your vest, we do printed, sublimated jersey panels that we can print all the logos on and everything. So that becomes an option, as well for your vest. And then there's some other things too, like we do pockets for recoil pads. If somebody wanted to get something like that done, if they wanted some extra padding, that could be done. So there's quite a few options that you can get, on the vest if you want to go through, a custom. And then of course you can get into your measurements, right? So
Yeah.
if a standard out of the box vest doesn't fit, right, which a lot of them do, I will say for a huge percentage, most of the Castellani vests, you can pick up your size and it will fit, right?
Yeah.
It's just like wearing a suit jacket. However, sometimes we need to lengthen or shorten a vest, and we do that as well. So, we'll get those custom measurements and produce the vest for you.
That's awesome. And, that vest, I mean, it is truly custom fit. I mean, it fits like a suit coat. I mean, it's perfect. You want it nice and tight, but you don't want to be strangled in it either. But man, every time I've gotten mine, they fit awesome. And you're going off your suit coat sizing on that, your chest measurements. I know there's on the website, there's all ways to measure that, but is that the main way to measure?
Yeah, that's really the first measurement that we go through, and typically it's not exact, but again, that's something where if you can simply provide us with your dimensions. When we do that, we have you measure at the fullest part of your chest and then measure at the fullest part of your waist, typically at the navel, and
Yeah.
just go all the way around loosely. And if I have those two measurements for a male, we can get you sized properly, and then for a female, we just add in the hips dimension to it, and then this way I can kind of put you in the proper vest.
Nice.
Yep, and it's close. There's a couple cases where it may not, that number may not exactly equal. If you're, say, for example, like I'm 43 inches in the chest, right? So I can actually get into a size 42 because the vest does have stretchy side panels,
Yeah.
which allows the vest to fit to you. And sometimes people look at that, it's fitting, snug, but then when you actually pull the vest away from you, you see that you actually have more room. So it's from that part, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's
Yeah.
fitting your body. But I could also fit into a 44. So
Okay.
it just depends on, usually when I'm talking with somebody, and this is when we have these conversations, do they want a tight fitting vest or do they want a more relaxed fitting vest? And a lot of that also has to do with where they're shooting, so
Yeah.
typically here in the northern states, a lot of people will kind of size up a little bit, and that's just because they're shooting in a lot of colder temperatures.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, that depends, but those are conversations that we have all the time. You just call us up and we talk you through that process.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so cool that you can take people through and design, they can get exactly what they want out of it. So earlier you told me that you had a phone call with the factory. So you're in conversation with the factory in Italy weekly or monthly, or, and sending those orders over?
Yep. So, really, so I'm in conversation with them daily, but we're constantly sending at least communications from, emails back and forth and orders, for example, back and forth. But we have a weekly video call, which we go through, different topics. We talk about different things that are happening. And again, we review orders. So again, it's important to have those conversations where we can go through everything and, you have that face value as if we're still there. So technology is great, right? So that's
Oh
what
yeah.
we just like we're doing now. You can get on a call, talk, and basically be in the same room with each other. So in that process, right? So some exciting things that are going to be happening where we have, like today we talked about at the NSCA, we're going to have nationals that is taking place, right? Coming in October.
Yeah, San Antonio.
Yep. So we'll be there. And part of that process is we'll have actually I'll say not really new, but actually so not a lot of people will know this. And, but for about 25 plus years, the factory, so Castellani actually had a whole hunting line that they produced, but they were never exporting to the U.S. So,
Oh, wow.
And that's, if you go back, right, Castellani really before Tom started everything, there was really not a big presence, I'll say, in the U.S. for Castellani. So worldwide, everywhere else, huge, right? So again, you look at the Olympics and everything else, everything is Castellani. And the U.S. market, it was definitely not as big as it is today. And but part of that, they have a whole hunting line, which we're basically going to reintroduce to everybody.
Super cool.
Yeah, because again, this is just something that I've always wanted to get into as well, because I like hunting as well, and I want to bring some of those products. So definitely, if you come by, you'll be able to see some different hunting products that we'll have for this upcoming season. And
Awesome.
Yep.
So now y'all are doing a storefront at Nationals there?
Yep. So we're located on Vendors Row. It's that first building, unit number 15. We're in between Kohler and LaPorte.
Oh,
so that's
sweet.
Where we're located at. Yep.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's exciting. Bringing the hunting line in, that's going to be cool, and add a bunch of new stuff to it. So when we're waiting for the call here, I was scrolling through the Ultimate Shooting Accessories website. Man, I knew they had a little bit of everything, but holy cow, the range bags and the backpacks and, I mean, the winter coats and everything. I mean, there's something for everybody on there.
Oh yeah. So we have you mentioned the backpack. So that's a new product that we released. They actually have an umbrella as well that kind of correlates with the backpack. There's a pocket that is designed for the umbrella if you want to get that accessory as well. But another one that's actually, it's not on there yet, but we will have it in San Antonio. So I definitely, if you're at Nationals, come by and take a look at this. So a new winter jacket. And again, when we're producing, articles, it's not just clothing, right? So what we really try to do is produce technical garments, right? So there's technical aspects that are really important for the shooters. And if we just talk briefly, like, for example, like on a winter jacket, okay, what can you do that makes it technical? So a big thing is, for example, some of it is simple in a way, but it's really needed. So like we have gussets that are in the back and the shoulder blades, like in your trapezius area. And then we also, on this one, we have them in the elbows. So what happens is when you get into the gun, typically when you're doing that on a regular, say, jacket, there's a high tendency where your sleeves are going to pull back and it just becomes annoying, like as everything's moving. So this is designed to move with you. Just like I talked about, like with those jersey side panels in the vest, as you're moving, around and you're getting into your form and your position, the vest or the jacket, it's moving with you. It's really like a second skin.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do, right? So it's looking at certain elements like that, and then of course adding different other elements to it that help it out. So one last one, right, on the winter jacket is you take something like the recoil pad. The recoil pad area, in the whole underlining layer we have in the stomach area, it's lined so you have that extra warmth that you need. But in the recoil pad, we don't really put it there. It's a thinner layer that's underneath in the system. And the reason why we have that is that you want to keep that gun mount very accurate, right? So if you have something where you have a lot of puffy material that's there and you're going to mount with a winter jacket, that could become, a problem with your gun mount when you're going from winter to, say, summer.
Oh yeah. You're adding length of pull and that messes everything up.
Yep. So just things like that. So again, and those are things where you come in when I could, definitely show everybody how it works from that technical aspect and what makes it, a great winter shooting jacket.
Well, I mean, there's so much thought in technical design that goes into all these. I mean, they've really thought of everything. I mean, with the functionality of it. And I just think that's really cool. I mean, the products, everything that I've seen, has a purpose, and a design with intent on that, and that's really cool. I mean, the vests are fantastic. So there's a lot of, on the website, there's a lot of different vests. In the wintertime, I've got the mixed wool Olympic vest. I really like that in the wintertime, just a different vest. But go into that one just a little bit, because that's a different material, right?
It is. So it's what you said, it's a mixed wool. So it's a blend. There's actually quite a few different fabrics within that vest, so it has wool in it. It has polyester, nylon, spandex, and some cotton, I think, as well in there. So, but it's a mixed wool blend. And again, so it has certain properties, like, again, there's some of that elastic that's in there, right? And or the spandex. And that's, again, so that it moves kind of with you. It's not just, a flat garment, that can't move with you, and kind of, so that, and then the wool part, keeping it warm. So it's definitely to stay warmer. But actually, we have a lot of shooters that like that vest throughout the whole season, even summertime. So a lot of people like that just because of the styling of it, and the way that vest fits.
It's a really clean style. I like it. And I don't know what you call the part in the back that, kind of pulls it all together. But I mean, it fits just really nice. I mean, it looks really professional, and it's just a clean looking vest.
Yep. Yeah. And that part you're talking about, there's actually an elastic band that is on the inside. Again, it just kind of forms your body, and that's what that's used for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know in talking with you in the past, when I ran into you there at Northbrook, you were talking about things you're doing to, streamline orders with the factory and everything. I mean, you're not just designing custom vests. I mean, you're creating a whole infrastructure here for the company I mean, you're kind of underselling yourself here. I mean, there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes I heard about. So,
yeah. So, for example there, right? So one of the things that we're working on, and the factory's doing too. So we're currently in the process of upgrading our ERP system, right? So our ERP system is how we're handling order entry. And again, I kind of come from a background too, where I know a lot about operations and computers, and so it's an area that I can assist in, and I want to do it mainly because at the end of the day, once it's all done, the customer service experience will be that much better, right? And so, as an example, where I'd like to get it at is where somebody orders a vest, whether it's a custom vest, and or even a stock vest, for example. And the way that it happens is when it gets entered into our system, and once it's in order, the customer has pure visibility of at what stage it's at, in production. So this, if they want to self-service, and if they want to look at, where's my order, what's going on, they will have the ability to see, oh, it's currently the panels are being cut, where it's in the embroidery stage, it's printing or it's assembling, right? And then once it's shipped, where is it at in transit? And then again, you're just giving these kind of communications back and forth to the end user constantly, just to keep them up to date of where it is. So they become part of that whole user experience, right? So it's not just like, you order a vest and we're done. I want to have that continual feedback where it's like you become immersed into this customer service experience that we're giving you. And then this actually, another aspect of it when we get into customs is I've built and working on a custom configurator. So again, if you want to go in there and kind of design your own vest, I'll have constraints that are put in there, basically that these are the colors you can pick from. This is the type of piping you could do. But again, it allows you to customize. For example, if you start with like a Rio vest, which is a certain model, we'll say it's 040, right? So you start with there, but you want to add double pockets to it. So what's going to happen is you can customly configure this whole vest. And then as you're doing that, it's building out the SKU for the factory, so that once the factory gets it, they know exactly what SKU they have to build. They know what materials need to be built. So it all comes into their system. So this whole process, right, for me is fun. But again, not everybody may want to use a configurator like that. So which is where I still want to offer the ability to have these discussions with somebody and say, okay, let's build a vest together. Otherwise, if you like to just do your own thing, you can have at it, in nighttime, you can work on stuff and design your own vest, or get somewhere very close. And then, we can have a conversation at that point and I can finalize it for you. So it's just creating those tools,
I could see a lot of people going through there and, clicking and designing and, changing and tweaking. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think that'd be part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
Is,
No, exactly.
building your vest, and then you come in with the finishing touch on it. And that's super cool. So, I've never seen the factory. Is it a huge factory? Is it a small factory? I mean, is it expanding? I mean, when that order goes in, what's that look like at the factory?
Yeah, so they recently expanded not that long ago, and again, it's not when you say a big factory, or when I look at there's factories that are huge, right? Like companies like your Teslas, your SpaceX, right? So we're definitely by nowhere near a size like that. So, but I consider us a small family run operation, and but we have a decently sized facility that can take care of production and go through that process. So what happens now when we submit the orders, at that part, the factory acknowledges the order, and it will kick off the process where really the first step is to cut the materials. So it goes through a process where all the raw materials are cut, everything is put together in a package. So it will go to the next stage. And then the next stage is, for example, if you're doing embroidery, it's going to be that. And this is important to know, right? Because typically when we're producing vests, our vests are not made as a stock vest, then embroidered typically, right? We've done that, but for the most part, we're building to order.
And I've seen that with the stitching and everything. I mean, some of the stitching has clearly been done before the vest has been assembled, right? Because I mean, the pockets aren't sewn together. So
yep, exactly. No, and this is a huge part, right? Because if you take a vest, after the fact, and say you wanted to put a embroidery on the pocket, if you get a machine that's small enough, yes, you can fit in there, but then usually the embroidery is going to be smaller, and it's not going to have the look that you're going to want. And so what we're doing is all of our panels are embroidered first, then there's 2 panels put back to back so that you don't see any of the white transfer paper that's put through. So again, it gives it like a very clean look.
Yeah.
To,
the inside of the vest is as clean as the outside. I mean, and the quality thread, I mean, either it's a higher thread count or something, but the embroidery lays completely flat. Anytime I've ever taken it to a local embroiderer or something and had added a sponsor or put something on the vest, it's just not quite like the factory stitching. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. Those machines must be pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a combination, right? So definitely you have to have a multi-head machine that can do what they do. But it's also, like you said, the thread count. It's a huge factor in it, and the threads that we use. So, it's a high quality vest, and we have to do high quality embroidery as well. So
yeah. And I mean, I'm under the assumption that a lot of it's mostly handmade. I mean, is that right? I mean, is somebody putting that together?
Yep.
Wow.
It is. Yep. So
that's awesome.
The process that really is not the only process that I'll say that's not, I guess, hand done is cutting of the panels. So when we cut the raw materials, those are cut by a machine. So it basically, depending on the order, if we're cutting a certain, say, for a team, for example, the machine will know exactly how many panels to cut and what size. And so it's similar to a CNC type machine, and it will cut all those out. And then that stage from there, everything then becomes hand done. So, and there still may be some hand cutting that they have to do with those panels. But yeah, that's the only process. Otherwise, everything else is done by hand.
So start to finish, I mean, from the time the order comes into the factory to the time it's packaged up and ready to go, I mean, what does that timeline look like? Are the things being streamlined? I mean, are they cranking out more and more vests? I mean, the demand seems like it's crazy. I mean, this has grown into something that's tremendous. I mean, I see the vests everywhere.
Yep. So our typical lead time, I'll say through, high season, and what we pretty much quote most people is going to be about 8 weeks. And that's from start to finish when you put in the order to the time that it ships. That window does decrease sometimes during, I'll say, off like a slow season, or it's going to be, I say this because this doesn't exist anymore. But in your November, December, January months, that's really about it. That window can go down to 4 to 6 weeks in a little bit there. But honestly, with the customs, the past year, we'll see what happens this year. That wasn't really the case. So you stay out, but yeah, which is a good thing. And then what we're doing to keep that window right, is of course there's manpower that you have to add to it, but this is where also, like I was mentioning with our operations, some of these we can change. For example, the order entry part, when we're submitting stuff now, we can cut off. I know we can cut at least a week off just from order entry, from the time that it goes in from my side to the time that the factory gets in, has to input that information into the ERP system. So if we are automatically doing that, that's a week that we pick up. So again, part of the process of me doing everything is looking at all these different operations here and how do we streamline this to make it faster.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's great.
We're in these Amazon days, right? So everybody wants everything tomorrow. You know, but at the same token, you are, especially when you're getting, you know, customs, you're getting a one of a kind vest that's, you know, we're going through that whole process. So again, it's going to take a little bit longer versus our production side, which typically we have most of the items in stock because those are production runs. I have shipments at least 2 times a month of stock products. So those are quick turnarounds. So that lead time of 8 weeks is typically only on your teams, customs, and clubs.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's great. But, you know, it is a custom, you know, one-off, and, you know, it is going to take some time to get that vest in. But I'll tell you what, I always look forward to it showing up and opening up that package and trying it on. I mean, there's a pretty good feeling with that. And so where can folks find you? You know, if somebody wants to get a custom vest done or made, like, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you or somebody at the company?
Yep. So email is one way. So you can do email sales@castellaniusa.com. So that's one.
Okay.
And then, of course, you can always call us 312-622-2020. And you can give us a call there and we'll pick up and we can go through that process as well. And typically what we'll do is we'll find out if you're already wearing a Castellani vest. It's really simple because then we already know your size. And from there, we just start the design process. If you don't know your size, that's where we'll work with you and we'll kind of get some information from you and then start that process, you know, as far as next steps.
And I've seen you go through the booth, you know, at the shoots and everything, and, you know, have folks trying on different vests and everything, so they can come see you in person too. You're at a lot of the major shoots, right?
Yep. So the next one I'm going to be at is, like I said, NSCA Nationals, so in San Antonio. So I'll be there next month, and which is just right around the corner. And typically, I'm at least at most, if not all, of the regional events, and then. Like here, we had the 2 world events this year. So the World English and World FETAS. So I was at both of those. You know, and those 2 are very big for us as well because, you know, the factory and I sponsor the NSCA team. We've been doing that since 2018. And same thing with the SCTP international team. So those are another events that I go to, a whole different bracket, right? So not only sporting plays, but I'm also partaking in, you know, like ACY and the college events, and then also SCTP events. So, you know, it's not just sporting clays that we're at. We're also at, you know, a bunch of other events in other areas. And then, of course, the Olympic side, you know, so.
Right. That's wild. So now, historically, speaking of the Olympics, a new vest is always unveiled. Is it for the Olympics or is it after the Olympics? Or what? Because I know the Tokyo vest.
Yep. So it's typically what happens is we release it after the Olympics, right? So it's something that's worn usually at the Olympics. And then from there, those are the first people that get to do it and then get to wear that vest. And then we transition. So what the factory did this year is we'll have some of the vests actually at NSCA Nationals. And it will be all the Olympic country vests. We will be releasing those. So if you,
that's cool.
So if you want to get we've had requests before in the past, right? For, you know, getting a vest with a flag on it. So this is one way where, since we're going to change it for the next Olympics, we're going to have a completely new vest design. So we're at the point where we're going to release our country vests, and you can basically country, get that. And those will be really cool. So definitely say come on by and take a look at those so you could see them.
Oh, you're going to have one of those at Nationals too. That's awesome. Well, definitely need to stop by and see that. That's cool. Awesome. So what else do you have going on that you want to tell the folks about? I mean, you're working hard, streamlining everything. I mean, is there any other products that you brought to market there that they folks need to know about?
No, the big ones that I think we've already kind of discussed where we have our new range backpack that we have, there's umbrella, there's a new winter jacket. Then we have, of course, the new Olympic, vest that we're going to have at Nationals. And then the biggest one is going to be our hunting line that will.
That's cool. I can't wait to see what comes out with that.
No, this is really cool. So again, it's been one of those things that, again, it's been out for 25 years that the factory's been doing this for, just never in the U.S. And so I'm going to bring this to the U.S. and see what people think. I mean, the products I've seen so far through our video calls have been great. So
awesome.
So I'm excited to definitely bring this. And and then the exciting stuff that, again, it's 4 years from now, but it's going to be working on the Olympics. Again, we have a big involvement there, so it was really good to partake this year with all the Olympic events that took place. We're heavily done there. We support also too, like ISSF. So all the ISSF officers and referees, we sponsor them, and not only for shotgun but also for air pistol, which is really cool. So
wow, you guys are involved in a whole lot more than just putting sporting clay shooters in vests.
I know.
That's great. Well, that's cool. I mean, I learned a bunch about that. I didn't realize that it was that far reaching, but that's super cool. Well, I'll tell you, I sincerely appreciate everything that you do for me. You always keep me looking good in my vests and the custom design. And I know we talked a little bit about getting a new one designed up. Not so dark in these Georgia summers. We'll go with a little lighter color next time. But really enjoyed it. Enjoyed having you on the show, Dan. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon. And appreciate your time on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It was great catching up, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Go see Dan Creekmur with Ultimate Shooting Accessories in Castellani, USA. He'll get you hooked up and looking good.
Thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform to The Clay Lab so you don't miss an episode. Check out MadsonShootingAcademy.com or reach out to Cody at MadsonShootingAcademy@gmail.com. Consider joining as a channel member too by clicking that join button below on YouTube for early access to videos and podcasts. We'll catch you here next time on the Madison Shooting Academy podcast.